It's getting no hit. I mean, Boston's getting no hit. Holy shit. That's only 4 innings, though. Mm-hmm.
This September the 5th picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's brought to you by the SGP Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content and contests, including the NFL Win Totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress. Use the promo code SGPN on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app. Use the promo code SGPN. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog Pick'em in college or NFL. Win up to 20x in one game. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. And we're brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use the code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any NFL game. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code SGP. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Monday, September the 4th. We've got a full slate of action for Tuesday, September the 5th. I need to say, do you say Happy Labour Day? Is that a thing? I've said it anyway.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, well, it is now. It's a big happy birthday to Mr. Lonte Smith. Lonte, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good, man. I got off to a good start from the show yesterday, so looking to keep going here. Boston's getting no hit through 4, so that's intriguing to watch with Savali on the mound. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. Ready to break down the card with you guys.
This might be it, Lonte. This might be your year. The 34th year might be the one. We've started hot. So if you can keep going for 365 days, we can get Scott that T-shirt we owe him. Scott Reichel is joining us. Scott, how you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Been a pretty good couple of days in college football and tennis for me. Swept the podcast for the round of 16 in the U.S. Open, which is nice. So hopefully we'll keep it rolling for the quarters. But looking forward to the baseball games coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, so myself and Lonte did the show yesterday, and we sort of spent. It definitely had a bit of a Sunday night feel about the show because we were lamenting the fact that we'd stunk the place out over the weekend. My Premier League picks were worse than dog shit.
Oh, Sorry? You mean the picks? I thought you meant your team. Sorry.
Oh, no. Just the general picks. I had an awful weekend. Lonte had struggled a bit. But we got to it in the first couple of games with two of our bigger fancies tonight. The Kansas City Royals have pumped to the White Sox. I took the Royals, but you were a little bit braver than me and took the run line, Lonte. And behind Cole Raggins, who we were very high on, they won that 12-1. And then the other pick we had, the stronger, it was those minus 130 favourites. We had 3 of them, and the strongest lean was Justin Steele and the Chicago Cubs. And that was a good game, actually. One of the first things to comment on that was how fast that game went. Justin Steele and Logan Webb both work really, really quickly. The Giants only got 2 hits all night, which meant obviously the game was a little bit speedier. But that was done in like 2 hours and about 10 minutes. It was really, really quick. And the Cubs got enough bat on ball. Seiya Suzuki did some bits. Bellinger scored, and yeah, the Cubs won that 5-0. So a good start to the week, really, which I needed. I was starting to pick these minus 130, minus 140s just because I don't feel confident enough to go a little bit bigger. And then the rest of the states currently leveled out, like you say, Tampa Bay, and no hitting the Red Sox. The Reds have scored 5 against the Mariners early, but the D-backs are up, and we're sweating the Oakland first 5, the world famous Oakland first 5. That is nothing in the top of the 5th for the Blue Jays, coming up to bat in the 5th. So yeah, we're getting stuck into it this week, and it's been a more positive start as we move on. But yeah, we're still counting down now. September the 4th, kind of 4 full weeks now till the end of the season. So it's all up to play for. We've got some good series again. We've got the Twins and the Guardians going at it again, as well as Houston and Texas. So divisional stuff is very much up for grabs. We'll get started with tomorrow's picks. I'll tell you first about the DraftKings is what I'll tell you about. 7 months without NFL, but it's back in 5 days' time. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official and unofficial sports betting partner of the NFL. We've got a can't miss offer for week 1, $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 on any NFL game. DraftKings is hooking everyone up with game day greatness. There's going to be 2 new offers every single game day this September. So check the app and see what you get. Download the app now. Use the code SGP to sign up. New customers can take home $200 in bonus bets instantly just for betting $5. That's code SGP only on DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. So I'll tell you about Game Time, the best place to pick up tickets for anything you want to go and see. Baseball playoffs around the corner. Game Time will be the place to go and get those. But also any other sports, music, comedy, theatre. The purchasing of the tickets shouldn't be stressful. You should just be able to look forward to the event rather than worry about the tickets. And that's what Game Time does for you. You've got things like flash deals and last minute tickets, a lowest price guarantee. The Game Time guarantee means you get the best price, and Game Time credit you 110% of the difference if you find the tickets in the same section, in the same row for less. So yeah, loads of positive feedback from many of the SGPN network who've used Game Time to get tickets for all sorts of things. The thing to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Okay. We've got a bit of a holiday feel in the chat. Everyone's out doing stuff. It's quite quiet, which is okay. Trev was first in. Trev, how you doing? So yeah, if you do join us, stick your head in the chat and say hello, and we will start Tuesday's card with a 6:10 Eastern first pitch between the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Guardians. We have Sonny Gray for Minnesota. We have Tanner Beebe for Cleveland. It is minus 112 on the Twins, plus 104 on the Guardians. Total is set to 8. And we need Scott to lead this off because myself and Lonte, we're just going to tell you that someone's going to win 4-3. So we let Scott say different things before me and Lonte say that. Scott?
Yeah, I was going to go with the under as my favorite play here. I like both pitchers in general. Gray's been really good lately, last 2 starts, 14 innings pitched, 1 total run allowed. And Bibby's been good. And we know that Minnesota is also a really bad team on the road. The question is, do I want to take the full game or the first 5 under? I obviously like the first 5 under. The question is, am I worried about the bullpens enough to sway me from taking the full game as well? I think it's going to go under either way, but I'll take the first 5 under. Gray's been in good form. Bibby's in good form. I think this total, whatever it's going to be, is going to be a bit too high. I see, once again, a 2-1 type game through 5. I'll take the first 5 under.
Lonte, do we need to know what your pick is?
Yeah, not really. I'm just, it's the same thing, man. But this time, I'll switch it up a little bit, man. I think we get a 3-2 final. I think we get a 3-2 final. Yeah, I like both pitchers, like Scott mentioned. I mean, Bibby, he's pitched well versus Minnesota. 5 runs allowed and 10 innings pitched. So that's 2 among 2 games. Both were on the road. He hasn't allowed over 3 earned runs in his last 7 home starts. Allowed only 3 earned runs twice this entire year. So he's been in really, really good form, kind of under the radar. Not a lot of people are talking about how, because of the team he's on, obviously, and the division he plays in. But he's been really good. Gray's been really good also. Only allowed over 3 earned runs once in his last 8 starts. On the road, he's allowed over 3 earned runs once in his last 6 starts. So he's been going pretty well. He threw 7 scoreless in their last meeting, only 3 hits allowed. I mean, both pitchers are pretty good. I think they can shut down the opposing offense. Low-scoring game, like Scott mentioned, 3-2, 4-3 is the magic number here. So I like both of those.
Lonte has deducted a run from both teams. It's a 3-2. Yeah, Cleveland did have a 4-game winning streak snapped yesterday. But yeah, I like both pitchers here. And yeah, it's an under 8 for me. It's not a surprise, really. It's one of those days today where we handicapped sort of the start of the series yesterday and nothing's changed because we haven't seen the teams in action. But I've got no reason to get away from that handicap. So yeah, happy to take the under 8 again. 6:35 Eastern first pitch. This is one of only 2 TBD pitches that I can see on this entire card. It's the Milwaukee Brewers at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Brandon Woodruff for Milwaukee and nobody for Pittsburgh. I don't see anyone either. I've got no idea, really. Minus 175. We do have prices on the Brewers. Plus 145 for Pittsburgh. No total. Lonte, much on this? Did you see a Pittsburgh pitcher?
No, I didn't either. It's kind of hard to tell with it's kind of hard to handicap without a pitcher because you want to know which way to go and how to lean. So I guess I would, depending on the pitcher, I would go to the over. Both offenses playing really well. Milwaukee's over in 6 of the last 10. Pittsburgh's over in 7 of 10. Milwaukee scored 7 runs in 2 of their last 3. Pittsburgh 4+ in their last 5. And Pittsburgh generally plays to the over at home. They're 41-24 to the over at home. I mean, Woodruff, he's been good since his return in August, and he only allowed over 2 runs once in his last 5 starts. 3 of those were on the road, so he'll be comfortable playing on the road. I would likely lean with Milwaukee on the run line here, just depending on the pitcher. But I do think the over, but both teams can have some success here offensively. So I lean to the over. I like the over, lean to the Brewers on the run line.
Okey-doke. Toronto have just scored in the top of the 5th. They've stymied us, unfortunately. Scott, Brewers, Pirates, much?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Brewers run line as well. I like Woodruff. I don't think it matters who's pitching for Pittsburgh, but Milwaukee's been solid. I know they ended up losing the series finale against the Phillies, still won the series, covered the run line in the first 2 games. We know that this team's currently in first place. They're playing for something. Pittsburgh's playing for pride at this point. They're not in last place, though, so shout out to them, but I'll go with the Brewers run line on the road. Woodruff's going to be better than whoever Pittsburgh throws out there. The bullpen's a lot better. I got faith in Milwaukee's current form. I'll take the Brewers on the run line.
Yeah, that's it. It's Woodruff is going to be better than whoever Pittsburgh throw out there. You're exactly right, Scott. Woodruff will give up 2 earned runs, and that'll be good enough to win. I've got the Brewers written down, but I didn't want to give much else out because I hadn't seen the prices. So yeah, nothing fancy on this one for me. Going back to that Blue Jays Oakland game, Sean Newcomb is pitching for Oakland. Now, didn't there used to be a thing like 10 years ago? Is that the same bloke? Can't be anyone else, can it?
The guy on the Braves from like 5 years ago? Yeah, he's still there.
I haven't seen his name on an MLB box score, honestly, for 6 years. Like, has he been on holiday? Has he been in Japan?
I want to say it was in the minors because he just walked a bunch of people. I want to say that's why he was in the minors for a while. Maybe he had an arm injury, but I know his control was a serious problem and he got demoted at some point.
Well, he's making a right hash of whatever he's trying tonight.
Yeah.
I just remember he was a thing when I first started playing fantasy in like 2016. There was a lot of Sean Newcomb. He was a bit of a swing man. It was like, as he come out of the bullpen, are they going to stretch him out into a starter? And I haven't seen his name genuinely for years and years and years. And there he is. He just popped up tonight. 6:40 Eastern first pitch is the Seattle Mariners at the Cincinnati Reds. We have Bryce Miller going for Seattle. And it's going to be a debut for Connor Phillips for the Cincinnati Reds. Miller and the Mariners are minus 162. Phillips and the Reds plus 158 with a total of 10. And now, Lonte, you were telling me that Cincinnati had some COVID issues. I hadn't seen this at all. So that's kind of the reason Connor Phillips is getting the start tonight. What's the crack with that? Some of the bullpen guys have gone down.
Yeah, well, so what I read was Williamson and a couple of the rotation guys even might be pushed back because they were with the illness, and then I seen COVID. So it's kind of I don't know. It hasn't been officially ruled that they have COVID, but I guess it's just a sickness. But one of the guys had COVID, so I mean 1 + 1 = 2, and that's why Williamson was pushed back. And I'm guessing they haven't just released the significance of like the time that they're gonna release some of those guys or when they'll be back, and they haven't even gave out names. Williamson is just the one that they named because he was next up to start. So I'll be interested to see what guys are affected by this with their lineup. And if they had a COVID outbreak, I'm pretty sure most of those guys are hanging around together. So I mean, I just want to see. I know today they're playing right now, but you never know how it can go from one day to the other.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because already we mentioned last night Graham Ashcraft went to the IL with his toe.
Yeah.
Brett Kennedy's pitching tonight. We took Seattle on the road, line, and Cincinnati are 5-1 up early on in that one. Yeah. Bryce Miller here for the Mariners is 8-4 on the year. He's got a 3.93 ERA. He's been in decent form. He has given up 3 earned in his last 2 starts. They were against Kansas City and Oakland, so not great. And he hasn't been good on the road either. However, Seattle have been winning games for him because Seattle have been winning games. Connor Phillips, obviously the fly in the ointment here. Now, Phillips is Cincinnati's number 4 prospect. He actually came from Seattle, so he's going to make his debut against the team that traded him. He came across in the Jesse Winker trade, which was at the start of last season, I think, maybe. Has a 3.86 ERA at AA and AAA this season. He gets a few strikeouts, so a strikeout prop, if the books are brave enough to put one up, I'd maybe take it over 5.5. 6 strikeouts should be within his range. Julio Rodriguez had his 15-game hit streak snapped last night. But I think Phillips can go okay. I do like taking these rookies down the stretch. It was just how can you factor Phillips into a bet here? That total of 10 is high. So the first 5 total, I think, is going to be high. So I'm happy to take the first 5 under here. I just think Phillips can go okay, and Miller can hold them. The number's too high for me, Scott. So first 5 under.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Reds in this one. I just think Seattle is a little bit, I don't want to say overrated, but assuming they don't come back from 5-2 down right now in the 5th, that means they're going to lose 4 of their last 6 games. And they're still being priced once again like they're still in the middle of that massive winning streak they were on about a week or 2 ago. But I do think when you're looking at the Reds, I do kind of like Connor Phillips in this matchup. You mentioned the strikeout props. That was my main play. I liked Phillips over in strikeouts. He's a very solid strikeout pitcher. To go through the minor league numbers, 105 innings pitched this year, 154 strikeouts in his career in the minors, 290 2/3 innings pitched, 415 strikeouts. Strikes out a lot of guys, and Seattle strikes out a lot. So I think, once again, that's a pretty good combination there. I like Phillips strikeouts as my favorite play.
Like that. Odd one that we've came down on the same bet there, Scott. I must be doing something right. Lonte?
Yeah, we get 3 for 3. I got it wrote down as well. His strikeout prop. Yeah, I just generally I like going with those new guys, like you said, man, because they're unknown. You don't really know what you're gonna get from those guys. Now he could get blown up. That is a possibility, but
it's also Seattle. They strike out arguably more than any other team in the league. So
right. Especially swinging. Like they swing at everything out of the zone. So I think he has an advantage there. And again, like Scott mentioned, they might be a little bit overvalued here. They are 38-30 on the road. So they play well, but again, they might have hit that little wall and need to get a reset. Maybe this is not the game to get them there. But I like Cincinnati here. Miller has been pitching well as of late. His last 2 road starts, 1 earned run combined. So I think the total is a little bit high, like you said, Mal. So I like the under and I like Cincinnati here.
Like it, Lonte. Thank you very much. QB1 has joined us in the chat. Questionable bets. Good evening. How you doing? Nice to have you here. Where are we going? 6:40 Eastern is the Boston Red Sox at the Tampa Bay Rays. Cutter Crawford for Boston and Zach Eflin for Tampa Bay. Plus 136 on the Red Sox. Minus 148 for Tampa Bay. Total is 8 or 8.5 if you want it, Scott.
Yeah, for this one, I feel like once again this is a game that's going to be pretty close. The question is, do I have more faith in Crawford or do I have more faith in Eflin? The good thing for Boston is that this is a road game. because Crawford is useless at home. He's really good on the road and really good at home. So I think I'm going to take a spin here with Boston. For me, it's one of those spots where if I really can't tell these teams apart by that much, I do think there's going to be a little bit of value on the underdog. Now, Tampa is 7-1 against Boston this season, so I have to at least point that out. But once again, Crawford has been struggling a bit lately, but that's mostly at home. To read off the actual home road splits for Crawford, his road ERA is 2.06 in 56 and 2/3 innings. His home ERA in 47 innings pitched is 6.51. It's not in Fenway, so that's definitely a bright spot for Boston here. I'm going to lean to the Red Sox. I know Eflin's had a pretty good year, but I do think, once again, you can make an argument that these pitchers are at least somewhat comparable in a way. Eflin's probably a little bit better, but Crawford's numbers on the road, once again, roughly a 2 ERA. They're phenomenal. I'll lean to Boston here at probably a decent plus price.
Okay, Lonte.
Yeah, I couldn't really split the difference between the two. I thought it was a tough game to split. I do like Eflin a little bit more, but again, Scott, you mentioned those numbers. That kind of threw me off of betting Tampa. But I like the over here. I mean, Boston's 8-1-1 to the over in their last 10. Tampa Bay is 41-26 to the over at home. They scored 6+ in 3 of their last 5 games. Boston scored 7+ in their last 2. I think offensively they'll be able to get going here. Although both pitchers have been pitching well, I think the offenses can take over this game here. So I think we can see a high-scoring game here. Maybe not right away. Maybe we see 3-4 runs combined by those two in the first 5 innings, and then we get an avalanche late. So I like the over, and I'll lean to Tampa. I wouldn't bet it. I just think it's a coin flip type of game.
Scott put me off as well, Lonte. I've got a Tampa Bay run line pick here, and then Scott's absolutely talked me out of it.
You can still take it if you want to. I mean,
well, I'm not going to change my mind. I think it's
you just said you were going to change your mind.
No, I didn't.
You just said I talked you off of it.
Well, that's what I said.
That's what I'm saying. So either I talked you off of it, or you're still going to stay with it.
Right. Well, no, you sowed some seeds of doubt, Scott, is what you did. However,
there we go. There we go.
I'm not buying it. I just think Tampa Bay are going to be 2 or 3 better than Boston in this spot. Eflin is reliable. Crawford's been all right. Tristan Casas is hitting really well for Boston. 13 game on base. And I've got the tonight's scores up looking in Tampa Bay. Have got a good record against Boston. You said 7-1. They're 2 runs ahead of them, mid-5 at the minute. Just looks like that kind of game, kind of just hold them at arm's length, where Boston will be okay, but Tampa Bay will beat them by a couple, beat them by 2 or 3, was my reading of it. So I'll stay with my pick, and it's a Tampa Bay run line at plus 142.
So just to make sure, I didn't talk you out of anything. Just
you didn't.
There.
No, you didn't. No.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right.
You made myself shut up, will you? You baffling me. 6:40 Eastern first pitches. The LA Dodgers at the Miami Marlins. We have 2 left-handed pitchers here in the shape of Clayton Kershaw and Jesus Luzardo for Miami. Minus 148, the Dodgers. Plus 140, the Marlins. Total is 7.5, Lonte.
Yeah, so this is too short for me. I mean, the Dodgers with Luzardo on the mound. I mean, I know he's through 12 scoreless in his last 2 starts, but if you expand the sample size out, he's allowed 4+ in his previous 4 starts. Before that, he had 8 home runs in the 3-game stretch. I mean, am I missing? I don't know if I'm missing something or what. I mean, Kershaw, he hasn't allowed over 2 earned runs in his last 9 starts. Hasn't allowed over 3 hits in his last 5. I mean, in the month of August, he hasn't allowed over a single run, like just 1 run. That's all he's allowed in each game. Now, all of those were home runs, so you kind of want to get that under control. He does have, I mean, in his career, he's been giving up home runs, but I mean, against his Miami lineup, I think he'll be fine. So I'm looking at some Kershaw, like to win props, his total outs, strikeouts, because I think he can be able to dominate this Miami lineup. And I just don't trust Luzardo at home. I think the Dodgers hit lefties pretty well. They probably hit him better in Dodger
They hit
Stadium.
everybody pretty well.
Yeah, that too. But I think they perform really good against lefties. Not as good in Dodger Stadium. I mean, outside of Dodger Stadium, but that's apparent. But yeah, I think Kershaw's way too short here. I mean, if anything under 150, I would put a nice size bet on it. So I like Kershaw. I like the Dodgers to roll here.
It was funny. We talked last night, Lonte, about not all minus 130s are equal. We haven't come on to the game yet, but you're looking at like the Mets with Quintana at minus 148, the Dodgers with Kershaw at minus 148. And the two things aren't the same. Like, they're the same, but very, very different.
Right.
Like, Scott, what are you going to talk me out of here?
Well, the reason why the line is pretty short is because of the fact that Luzardo's given up no runs in the last 2 starts.
Yeah,
I was going to say, do I care?
Yeah,
no,
right.
Not really. I don't really care. But I do think once again I'll go with Dodgers on the run line here. They're on the road as well, so you're guaranteed 9 at bats, which is always a nice plus. But Miami can't score. Like, it's been their issue the entire second half. I know Arise had, I think, 4 hits yesterday. Solaire's hit a bunch of home runs, but that's really it. But they acquired Berger. Has he really done anything for that team? I think he's been okay. I don't think he's really done much, but I don't trust Miami's bullpen either. Luzardo, last start, for example, they had that 0-0 game against Tampa into the 10th, and then Robertson blew the game and gave up 3 runs. They still didn't cover the run line, and they didn't give up a run for 9 innings. I'll go with the Dodgers. They have too much firepower for me. Kershaw's going to be good. The only concern might be if he only goes 5 or 6. So maybe you're looking at a Marlins first 5 team total under. If you want to avoid Luzardo, if you want to just blindly take Kershaw and nobody else, I think that's a good approach. The reason why it's so short is because Luzardo's been really good. But now they're facing off against the Dodgers. I'm not sure if the same results are going to, show itself here on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I really don't mind that Kershaw first 5, like Miami under for the team total. Give me Miami under 1.5 of the first 5 team total.
What was it? What were his opponents in those? I'm looking right now. Do you know?
It'd be Tampa. Tampa they lost to in extras, and then you had the Padres. So 2 offenses that should be good on paper, or at least one. It's kind of the opposite. Tampa shouldn't be good on paper, but they're good.
Right.
And the Padres should be really good on paper, but they're terrible. So it kind of balances out. But once again, I'd rather not get involved. The Dodgers should win this game on the run line, but Kershaw's a lack of length does give me a problem. And I think, once again, the Dodgers bullpen is still a bit iffy. So I'll go with the Marlins first 5 team total under.
Yeah, I trust. I give him credit for the Tampa win. San Diego is, it's just whatever. They just pick days.
I had San Diego in that game because Snell was pitching and they just didn't do anything because it's the Padres, so they didn't do anything.
Right. For me, it's just an under. It was a straightforward under. Scott said Miami can't score runs. It seems like a very long time ago. I think we just come out the All-Star break when people were talking about Miami being okay. Jake Burger was doing bits since he got traded in his first 10 days or something. That was forever ago. The only time you see a total of 7.5 or 7 now is when it's always Miami. Like, it's not even Oakland or Colorado. It's always Miami. And it's the first one for a few days. And sure enough, it's the Marlins again. Kershaw give up max 1 earned run. I trust Luzardo to go okay. But I'm happy with a comfortable Dodgers win and under 7.5 runs. And a couple of bits of news on the Dodgers pitching staff tonight. One good, one bad.
I wasn't sure if we were going to touch upon this or not. I was going to bring it up if you didn't. So, all right.
Yeah, so Julio Urias with a potential DV. I'm not sure if it's something that's going to affect him immediately or if there'll be a process or what. But I do know, I think he's got a bit of previous. I don't want to speak out of turn. But on a positive side is Walker Buehler has looked razor sharp in AAA for, is it Oklahoma City Thunder? And in
basketball,
that's the basketball team.
Oklahoma City.
All right, it was Oklahoma. See, I do know some basketball stuff. Oklahoma City Dodgers, what they called?
Could be. I don't know.
No, you should know. God, see.
Why would I know AAA?
It's part of the rich fabric of the sport.
If there's a AAA betting podcast, then maybe I'll look into it. But we don't have that at the moment. So
I gave out the winner of the AAA championship last year. It's 7-1, if you remember that. The Durham Bulls.
The Yankees?
Yeah, Durham. Yeah, was it Durham?
It was the Yankees? Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote that up.
That's like 45 minutes for me. I go see them play all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had it covered. I just throw it out 7-1 winners, left, right, and centre. What we talking about? Walker Buehler. Anyway, looked really good. So we might be back soon. And I saw, was it Yonder Alonso, I think, this afternoon talking about him going as kind of a piggyback starter. Maybe in the playoffs, he could be a right threat if they decide just to throw him out for 3 innings, either as a follow-up man or, like you say, the opener, a long opener, that kind of thing. So interesting times for the Dodgers. We'll move on. I'll tell you first about Underdog Fantasy. which is a great way to play alongside your favourite football team. Things like the fantasy pick'em game. If you pick between 2 and 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower in each of their stats, and then do what you spend all day Sunday doing anyway, which is watching the games. And you can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, but you can win real money. So watch along, make your picks, maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. If you sign up with the promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. And finally, the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon, which you need to check out. Help us fight corporate gambling. And you have access to things like the NFL Win Totals contest. That's got a $1,000 first place prize. The weekly Patreon Pick'em is on there as well. The College Football Bankroll Challenge. You'll get double bubble on your winnings if you're a member of the Patreon as well. So all of that at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. Houston are back in that game. They've tied things up with 3-3 with Texas, so they're eventually on the board.
They left the bases stranded.
They were actually, there was a manager, they were the third out, they challenged. There was a challenge. Won the challenge. Otherwise, they were going to walk off with 0 runs. Overturned a challenge, and then all of a sudden they're back in it. So, swings and roundabouts. 7:05 Eastern.
Before we get into the next game, can I just say something about the Urias situation?
Which situation? Oh, Urias. Yeah, go.
Yeah. It might be a hot take. I'm not sure if it is. I don't think he's going to pitch in the majors again. I think his career's over.
That's what I mean. I kind of saw a headline, and that was it. So I don't know if it was the kind of thing where will there be a 4 or 5 month process or investigations and counter accusations, or do they nip that in the bud now and we see what comes out?
There's a couple of variables at play, but after what happened with Bauer, the Dodgers didn't let Bauer pitch again. Now, maybe that's because of the massive contract, but still, Bauer was he officially charged with anything?
I don't think he was.
He wasn't, and his career's over too. This is Urias' second domestic violence accusation. He got suspended 20 games back in 2019. His career's over. In today's society, second time domestic abuser. No, he's done. His career's over. In my opinion, unless they disprove it and unless it's complete hearsay, his career is done, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, we've had a very similar thing over here. I don't know if you're familiar with the Mason Greenwood situation, Scott, who's a Manchester United player. Really good young player.
I loosely know what you're talking about, but I know that they shipped him off to another country.
Yeah, exactly. But they've kind of copped out a little bit. So he was accused of sort of sexual assault, very sort of Trevor Bauer almost like allegation.
Just asking, second offense, though. You think he's going to pitch again? I don't.
It doesn't look like it. But what they tend to do is sort of buy off the accuser because they can, rather than
they don't
go through the court process. Yeah, exactly. Buy off the accuser. And then with them being an asset, what Manchester United have done is copped out by sending him out on loan to a Spanish club. So they still have this valuable asset on the books rather than ripping his contract.
We're going to wait for it to die down. They'll bring him back next year and they'll see what happens.
Yeah, losing $100 million asset. Whether that'll get on the Dodgers' radar or sort of how what they're like as an organization is something I don't know.
If it was the first time, maybe you can get by with like a suspension. Second time in 4 years, and you had the Bauer thing 2 years. No, I think it's over for him. At least with that organization. If he's going to pitch again, it will not be with the Dodgers. The Dodgers will never use him again.
Okay, we'll move on to the 7:05 Eastern first pitch between the Detroit Tigers and the New York Yankees. Alex Faedo for Detroit and Gerrit Cole for the Pinstripes. Plus 200 for Wentz. I've stymied. Did you anyone spot the deliberate mistake there? Alex Faedo is listed, and I've got Joey Wentz handicapped. So I'm guessing that's a pitching change.
Yeah, so do I. I have Wentz too.
I see undecided on ESPN, so they're still figuring it out.
Unless, no, that is tomorrow. Because I've got 2 pages open, I'm checking. I'm not looking at today's games. Plus 200 for Detroit, minus 245 on the Yankees, and the total is set at 8. I'll be honest, this kind of helps me out a little bit, an undecided, because Wentz or Faedo, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. I don't know. I'm going to go the same way as you, possibly, Scott. Is that what's happened here is because Cole's on the mound, and because the Yankees have won a series, is that the Yankees tax is back again all of a sudden. And this is far too high. They're still a bad team. So I don't want to take the Yankees. You wouldn't have taken them last week on Thursday before that for the last 6 weeks at a minus 245 price, regardless of who was on the mound. And over the weekend, over a 3-day stretch, I don't think much has changed. So Cole has been fine. He pitched against Detroit last time out, gave up 2 runs in the game that they won 6-2. But I just don't want to back the Yankees. I would, in this situation, I would take the dog every single time because the Yankees were a poor team. They've made some little changes and it's had an impact. But you do get this sort of the rule of, it's like the law of diminishing returns on these kind of rookies. They're not going to go off all September and just blast bomb after bomb after bomb. This is going to diminish a little bit. Spencer Torkelson's hit 10 home runs since August the 8th. And we do know Gerrit Cole likes to give up the odd bomb. So Torkelson might be an option. But I'm going to take Detroit at a price of plus 200, Scott. Am I mad?
So we started off on the same page, and then you went in the completely wrong direction because I actually like the Yankees run one in this one. I've been fading the Yankees for a while as a Yankees fan because I know what the team was. They were old. They weren't very good. They realized the team was bad. They called up the kids, and they looked really good over the weekend. They look really good. I mean, it's not even a matter of just wins and losses. Just watching how they played for those 3 games against a very good, in my opinion, team that should win the AL. The Astros, and they swept in Houston. Yankees haven't won a series in Houston, and I don't even know how long. And yet, you're looking at what the Yankees did. They just looked like a significantly more competent team. And I'm not saying that it's solely because of the rookies, but injecting a little bit of youth into the lineup, you have a little bit more energy. I think it really did a lot for that team. Detroit's just bad. Like, they can't score. Cole crushed them like last week, and the Yankees actually won 3 out of 4. In that series because Detroit could barely score in any of those games. I'm going to take the Yankees run line here. I like what I saw over the weekend. I feel like this is a classic type of team for the Yankees or for any organization where the team is just bad enough to be out of the playoff picture and to be embarrassing themselves. They'll go on a good run in the final month, which doesn't mean anything besides finishing with like an above 500 record. So people will remember the season not being as bad as it actually was. It's one of those. I see the Yankees having a very good September with the young players. Maybe they'll call up a few more. We'll see. But I like the young guys. Dominguez look good. Wells look good. Pereira has been fine. I just really like what I've seen from the young core, and I think that this team is energized. So I'm going to go with the Yankees run line. They've shown something in the last couple of basically the last week. What are they, like 6 of their last 7? They've won. They've been in good form. I'll take the Yankees.
They won 4 or 5. I know that for a fact.
Yeah,
they won 4 or 5. Yeah,
that's kind of part of the reason I like the fade. Like, I think that's just a bit of an illusion. I mean, you can't polish a turd, and
it could be an illusion. But as a Yankees fan, sweeping a series in Houston, that's not an illusion. That's impossible. They have owned us in that stadium for I don't even know how many years.
In any stadium, it doesn't matter if you played on
pretty
Mars.
much, but especially in Houston, it's been rough in Houston.
Yeah.
That makes it even more part of the illusion, Scott. You can't see the wood for the trees. Lonte, what's your pick here?
If it was anybody on the mound outside of Cole, I would be with you, Mal. But Cole's on the mound, so can't bet against Cole in Yankee Stadium. That's just it's un-American to do. You're not American, so maybe that's why you like it.
It's un-American.
It's un-American to do. Can't bet against Cole in Yankee Stadium. He's awesome. He went 6 and only gave up two runs. He does need to work on his giving up the home runs, but that's been a problem throughout his whole career. It's probably never going to change. And you can tell. I don't know if I watch enough Gerrit Cole to know when he releases it, you can tell by the look on his face what's about to happen because he has the most dejected look in his face, like he's disgusted with himself. But I mean that's why he's so good. So I did have Wentz handicap. And he had, I guess if he's not going to go, then it's kind of pointless. But I'm looking at the team total for Detroit to go under in the first 5. I think Cole will pretty much have them on the ropes here. They outscored Detroit 17-9 in that series that you mentioned, Scott, winning 3 or 4. I think it's going to be easy work for him here. The young guys look really good, energetic. They should have been called up probably about 2 months ago. That's on Cashman. But that's another topic.
I don't know about 2 months for everybody because Dominguez was in Double-A for about a week and a half. So he would probably one of the people called up, but I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, like those guys are hungry, so they're playing extra hard. It doesn't matter win or lose; they're playing extremely hard. Those other guys, I mean, they're cashing a check, going back to the nice condos and just relaxing. They're Yankees. So now these guys are trying to, earn their pinstripes. No pun intended. So I like the Yankees to roll here. I like them on the run line with you, Scott.
There might just be a reason why they were in AA quite recently. There might be because they're AA level players currently and will be better in a few years' time. But we'll see.
But would the Yankees AA team beat the Oakland Athletics? That's the question. Right?
That's a good game. First five. I'll take Oakland first five.
First five.
That's
yeah.
First five. Get disrespectful.
If Blackburn's on the mound, definitely.
They swept the series over the weekend. Shout out to the Angels.
They did, yeah, against the only team. If you didn't know that, I asked you which team they'd swept. In fact, you asked 100 people in the street, they'd guess the Angel.
I would have said the Yankees.
7:20
before today. I would have said the Yankees.
7:20 is the St. Louis Cardinals at the Atlanta Braves. It's the Lizard King. Miles Mikolas goes for St. Louis. And we have another new name, Darius Vines, officially TBD for Atlanta, but I'm seeing Darius Vines, correct me if I'm wrong. Minus 130, sorry, plus 130 for St. Louis, minus 155 for the Braves, and no total yet. I think both teams have yet to kick off tonight, which is fair enough. Scott, do you know much about Darius Vines?
I know that there's a decent % chance he's better than Mikolas because we all hate Mikolas on this show. I'll go with the Braves. I don't really know much about him, but at the same point, it's the Braves at home. They just won a series against the Dodgers over the weekend, which was impressive. There's nothing I like about the Cardinals. I remember when they won like 6 of 7 or something a couple months ago, and people were thinking like, maybe they'll make a run. They're not making a run. Like Marmol can't manage. He should have been fired already. The team stinks. They're going to blow it up. Mikolas is bad. He pitches to contact. The Braves hit a lot of hard contact. I think Mikolas gets decapitated. I think that you're going to see the Braves probably score like 9 runs in this game. I don't think it matters who pitches for the Braves. The Cardinals are bad. They're really bad on the road. They're 28 and 38 on the road. Braves are 44 and 22 at home. There's nothing to like about the Cardinals here. Like, I know that you can make an argument, well, maybe the Braves starting pitcher is not going to be good. Maybe. But if the Braves give up 6 runs, I'm still not assuming the Cardinals win this game by default, so I'm going to take the Braves at 155. That line just sounds very cheap for one of the best home teams in the league.
Yeah, can't argue. Lonte?
Yeah, I had to refresh my app to make sure I was seeing.
It wasn't 255.
Yeah, I'm like 155. What's going on? I don't care. Listen, they can throw Mal on the mound. I don't care. For St. Louis, don't care. This is way too short. Way too short for a team that's 44 and 22 at home. They've won 8 of 10. They just dominated probably the second best team in the league in their house. And you think that 155 is enough against Mikolas? 4+ runs in 3 of his last 4. He hasn't been good on the road. He's gonna allow a lot of hard contact. I don't get it. I don't get it.
And the bullpen's bad.
Right. And as a favorite, Atlanta's 82 and 39.
Wow.
So
I think it needs to be said, but I'll say it one more time. The Cardinals right now are 4 games worse than the Pirates. If the Pirates had Mikolas and they were against the Braves are laying like 215.
Right.
Like
exactly.
There's some respect for the Cardinals because of their roster. Can I call them the Angels of the NL? Like I don't think it's as they're worse than the Angels, but you get my point. Like there's a lot of star power on the roster by name, but the team sucks. And the odds makers haven't adjusted all season long. They're worse than the Pirates by 4 games. They're a last place team. Atlanta should be minus 200.
Yeah, I'm laying on 155. This is ridiculous. That's ridiculous for real.
There is one thing to like about the Cardinals.
Oh man,
Scott.
No,
I'm not doing anything stupid. I'm just going to name check Jordan Walker, who's been getting really well.
Jordan Walker's
3
good.
homes in his last.
Yeah, he's good.
He's going to have a really good season next year. I'll be looking for some season-long props on Walker. But yeah, apart from that, that's it. Vines had 1 start, which was in Colorado, and actually pitched really well. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. I thought the safest bet, just in case Vines does something nuts, is an Atlanta team total. Because that could be 8, 9, 10, or any number you like. But yeah, I'm not going completely mad and taking the Cards here, boys. So fine. 7:05 Eastern first pitch. I forgot to go at the top of the page. It's the New York Mets and the Washington Nationals. We have 2 left-handed pitchers in Jose Quintana for the Mets and Patrick Corbin for the Nationals. -148 the Mets, +130 for the Nats. Total is at 9 or 9.5. Quintana 1-5, 3.26 ERA. He's only got one bad start recently, and the others around that have been fine. 6 innings pitched, maximum 2 earned runs. The problem is the Mets are not helping him out at all. The Mets have scored 1 run in Quintana's last 4 losses, which is quite remarkable. Corbin is 9-12 on the year, so 4.90 ERA. He was poor last time out, but he's kind of been okay. He's got 2 very average pitchers here. You've got 2 very average offenses. But Washington are in a bit of a slump. They've lost 5 in a row. And they're bad at home, 29-40 at home. Pete Alonso just hit his 40th home. That's the 3rd time he's reached that total. I mean, I've got the Mets written down here at -148. Not particularly in love with it. It'll be lower down my card, but that is my pick. I think the Mets will win the game, Lonte.
Yeah, I'm going opposite. I like Washington here. I mean, Washington's been good to me over the last few months. Probably the only thing I've gotten right was Washington. Corbin hasn't been bad. Only allowed over 3 earned runs once in his last 5 starts. He had a rough going his last start, but he's only pitched at home once in 5 of his last 6 starts. I mean, they don't play well at home, but again, I don't trust the Mets to lay this big of a number on the road. And you mentioned the lack of run support that Quintana's getting. He's been pretty good, but he just hasn't been able to get any offense. I think Alonso has been hitting the cover off the ball as of late. So I'll probably lean to the under, but I do like Washington at a plus price. Maybe look at Corbin in the first 5 also. I think they can come out and jump on Quintana here. 1-0, 2-1 type of deal.
Scott.
Yeah, I've kind of pulled a complete 180 on Quintana when the year started. I've taken him under my wing. I like him. I think he's actually pretty good. But you're looking at Corbin, who's been a mess this year, but for the most part, he's been better lately, but maybe his reputation precedes him in a bad way. Because Corbin, I don't think, has been shelled repeatedly recently. I just think that, once again, people are so focused on what happened the last couple of years. They're still raking in the money from last year, fading Corbin, that they still think that he sucks. I'm going to link to the under in this one. Quintana's been good, but once again, they don't score for him. The Mets have... Actually, I want to look at this number just to make sure here. So, the Mets have scored more than 3 runs in 2 of Quintana starts this season. Wow. That's almost impossible. Yeah. Like, I don't know how you do that. To go through the scores of what the Mets have put up with Quintana starting: 1 run, no runs; 4 runs, the lone win against the Cardinals; 0 runs, 0 runs, 6 runs against the Royals, still lost; 1 run against the Yankees, 2 runs against the White Sox. It's almost impossible to have this little run support. This might be worse than DeGrom run support like 3-4 years ago. This is all-time bad stuff. I'm going to link to the under. I think you're going to see a lower scoring game, maybe the first 5 under, but I think Quintana should be favored, but I'm not laying this number with the Mets. So I'll go with the first 5 under in this game.
That's fair enough. The live games, everything's flip-flopped. Houston and Texas now 5-all. So Trev, you've cast your Rangers team total bet. And the Red Sox have fought back to lead 4-3 against the Tampa Bay Rays, which is good because I have Boston as my bet. And what price was that? Let's have a cheeky look. It was my man, Brian Bello.
It's bad luck.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, mushy.
Wait till the game's
I tell you what, we mushed that no-hitter, Lonte, that we talked about last night. By the time I unplugged my phone, walked through there and turned the telly on, they'd scored 7 runs in like
you mean the
90 seconds.
Oakland scored like 10 runs in the last 3 innings.
Yeah.
We mentioned the no-hitter, said that we were quite good at mushing it, and literally I moved 7 yards that way, and they scored 1 run for every yard that I'd moved. Right, 7:40 Eastern first pitches, the San Francisco Giants. We need to get a move on here, boys. We're halfway through the games, and we've done 50 minutes. Moonaf will go berserk. The San Francisco Giants at the Chicago Cubs. Initially handicapped Sean and Naya. At this point, it looks like Ryan Walker, but it'll be Walker, possibly followed by Minaya, I would have guessed. Kyle Hendricks for the Cubbies. -102 for the Giants, -118 for the Cubs. No total for obvious reasons. Lonte?
Yeah, so I'm going with Chicago here and going to keep riding the hot hand. I mean, they've been really good as of late. San Francisco, I can't get a good read on them. They've struggled offensively though. Only scored over 3 runs once in the last 5. They've lost 6 of 10. Cubs have won 7 of the last 11. Hendricks, not a big fan of, but I mean he's been fine in his last 5 starts. Hasn't allowed over 3 runs. Pitches well in Wrigley. I'm gonna make it small. I'm gonna make it short and sweet. I like the Cubs to cover the run line, and obviously they'll win the game.
Scott?
Cubs. Line's too cheap.
Cool. Okay.
You said we got to rush through it. I'm going to be honest. Cubs are a better team. This
is it. Experiment. We'll power through. I totally agree. Watch that game tonight. I enjoyed watching the Cubs. I enjoyed watching Steele. He was really, really good. He's got a very good attitude. Obviously, it was a holiday crowd there as well, and they were really into it. It looked like a fun atmosphere. And I just ride the Cubs. They're batting really well. C.S. Suzuki's swinging a good bat recently.
Yep.
And the Giants, I even saw they've got Tristan Beck listed as starting, I think, tomorrow. And then he was in the game tonight. They've got like 3 pitchers just on a really weird sort of every 36-hour rotation. And this is another one, Walker to Minaya. I just don't trust it. I much prefer Hendricks at home. And the Cubs will be my pick, -180. 7:40 Eastern first pitch is the Chicago White Sox at the Kansas City Royals. Dylan Cease for the White Sox and Brady Singer for KC. It's a match on the books, -108 each of 2 with a total of 9. Dylan Cease, 6-7, 4.91 ERA, really struggling. 5, 8, and 4 earned runs in his last 3 starts. The game totals in them have been 15, 16, and 15. Singer is 8-10 with a 5.15 ERA. He's had back-to-back 4 earned run starts, short starts as well for him. And the game totals in his last 5 have been 12, 10, 13, 12, and 11. So there's not a game in there that hasn't gone single figures. They're all way up there. Sometimes you just have to ride with that sort of stuff. Kansas City scored millions tonight. Both teams can score millions tomorrow. The over 9 looks like a lock for me. Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to lean to the over, but I am going to go with Kansas City. I said previously on the show, I think that Cease is an overrated pitcher. I think last year was a fluke. I don't think he's very good, simply put. Now, Singer's not great either, but I am going to have faith in him in this start because he's been good at home lately. His last 2 starts were on the road against Seattle and against Chicago, probably 2 playoff teams. But you're looking at his last 2 home starts, 7 1/3, 2 runs against the Mariners, 8 innings, no runs against the Mets, and 5 innings, 2 runs against the Twins. So he's actually been pretty good at home lately. That's good enough for me. I'll take Kansas City.
Kansas City to follow up for Scott Lonte.
Yeah, I lean Kansas City's way. I love the over in the game. Kansas City 37-30 to the over at home this season. Cease 18 earned runs allowed in his last 3 starts. 2 of those were against bad offenses, Colorado and Oakland. KC is probably right in the middle of those, if not a notch above. I think they can get it going here. Would look at a team total over for Kansas City as well.
Okay, like it. We will go to a 8:05 Eastern first pitch between the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers. Series continues with left-handed pitcher Framber Valdez going for Houston. Texas officially TBD, but I think it's Dane Dunning, and the prices, I think, would reflect that too. It's close. It's -118, the Asteroids. Did you see that man? The Asteroids man today. What a great guy.
Yeah, that was
huge
great.
fan of him.
Great.
Right. He was right up my street, that fella. -102 for Texas. I haven't seen a total for this one. Scott?
I'm going to go with Houston. Simply put, I don't have faith in Texas to win games. They invent ways to lose, and it feels like this team is cratering. Today's a good example. We'll see if they win or not, but when you're up 3-0 early, you should win. And they immediately blew the lead in about 4 innings. So we're going to see what happens, but I can't trust Texas. Just simply put, they have not been good lately. They got bailed out yesterday by a Garcia walk-off home run, but they just have not been good, simply put. And I have no faith in them to consistently win games when they blow a bunch of leads late because their bullpen isn't very good. So I'll go with the Astros. I have more faith in that team.
Yep, fair enough. Lonte?
Yeah, this is a tough game for me. To be honest, I had a tough time. I like the over. Valdez, he's been great in his last 2 starts, but outside of that, he's been giving up a lot of contact and runs. 4+ in 5 of his last 9. He also had 5 walks versus Detroit, so command is a little bit of an issue. If it is Dunning, he's been fine. I don't mind him. But again, I think both of these offenses can overpower the opposing pitcher. I mean, Houston's over in 6 of the last 10. Texas is over in 7 of the last 10. Those numbers probably go up with where they're playing right now. Texas at home, 38-28 to the over. I think we see some runs here. I like both offenses. I like both pitchers a decent amount. I don't trust either one to shut down the opposing offenses. So I like the over in the matchup.
Yeah, exactly the same pick for me, Lonte. I've got the over. It was hard to like either side, just how Houston have been playing it, and then Texas have been slumping a little bit longer. Dunning has been okay, but in the context of that Texas slump. And I'm just not convinced by Valdez or Houston. This game tonight, it's currently 5-5 in the 6th inning, is exactly the game I've kind of handicapped for tomorrow. So we'll just have to say, I hope I haven't made the right pick one day too early. Obviously, I haven't seen a total, but I mean, what was yesterday? It won't be a million miles away. Total was 9.5 yesterday with France and Heaney. So somewhere similar, maybe half a run shorter, actually. Could be 9. Well, I'll take the over. Happy with that. Matthew, Hennon's joined the chat. Hello, Matthew. We have talked about Justin Steele, Matthew, but he wanted to shout about. I think there's quite a few Cy Young picks, Cy Young tickets amongst the D-Gens lying around, and Matthew might be holding one. 9:38 Eastern first pictures the Baltimore Orioles at those LA Angels. Dean Kramer for Baltimore and left-handed pitcher Reed Detmers for the Angels. -142 Baltimore, +120 the Angels. Total is 9 for Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to once again be as quick as possible. I'll take Baltimore. How am I supposed to take the Angels? You got swept by Oakland? Really? Swept by Oakland? Come on, man. You had a no-hitter and then gave up 10 runs in the game. I can't have faith in the Angels here. Detmers had that one almost no-hitter against the Rangers. He's been really bad besides that. Kramer's been fine, but Baltimore's a good team. The Angels aren't. So I'll take Baltimore on the run line. I think this line's too short.
Correct. Lonte?
Same. I love Baltimore in the spot. They got outscored in that series 21-9. Wasn't even close. Yeah, I mean, it's just nothing more to say. Just, yeah, right. Nothing more to say. Just Baltimore run line. Kramer's been
double A lineup according to Malcolm. 21-9.
Yeah, Kramer's been good too. He hasn't allowed over 3 runs in his last 7 starts. So I mean, just Baltimore any way you can get him.
Who swept the Angels, Scott?
Oakland, man.
Oakland.
They're not even going to have a team next year. They're going to be in Vegas. Come on, man.
Yeah, Baltimore run line. In fact, I was that confident. I mean, what's the point in anything the Angels do currently? So yeah, no hitter in the 6th. Lost the game 10-6. Baltimore on the run line is +124. It's a great bet. 9:40 Eastern first pitch is the Colorado Rockies at the Arizona Diamondbacks. Left-handed pitcher Kyle Freeland for Colorado and Brandon Pfaadt for the Arizona Diamondbacks. It is -170. No, it isn't. It's +170 Colorado, -184 for Arizona. Total is 9. Freeland is 5-14 with a 5.18 ERA and is unbackable at the moment. 6.3, 4.43 earned runs in his last 5. Multi-homers in 3 of his last 5. So no, Arizona aren't hitting great, but you could get a player prop in there if you really wanted one. And Freeland has a 5.32 road ERA. Brandon Pfaadt was doing better last time, until last time. And then he did what all Arizona pitchers do at the Dodgers and completely shit the bed. His last 3 home starts, though, he's been okay. He's given up 2 or 3. And that's probably good enough here. I've got this down. Before I saw the number, I'll tell you what, I'm good. Arizona win this game 6-3. The number then came out at 9, so I'm exactly right. Arizona on the run line is +106, Lonte.
Yeah, I got nothing in this game, but I agree with everything you just said. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to bet it. It would be Arizona or nothing. You can't trust Colorado at all.
I like everyone's just a little bit more truthful when we're against the clock in the last 3 minutes. I like this. There's a little truth serum coming out.
I've got on my notes. I've got nothing on it. Literally,
you wrote that down.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Scott.
I probably agree that Arizona should win because Colorado's that bad on the road. I'm going to lean to the over, though. I don't really like either pitcher. I think, once again, Pfaadt has been better lately, but in general, his ERA is still north of 6. He's still not a good pitcher. The point is he set the bar pretty low that even decent starts look pretty good, but then he went back to being bad last time out. I'm just going to lean to the over. I think this is one of those games that you tend to see between the Rockies and Diamondbacks. I know the Rockies' offense is worse now than in previous years, where the game might be somewhat middle of the road with scoring. Then the bullpens get involved and both teams go crazy in the final 3 innings. That's kind of what I see. I could see a decent game, like a 3-2 game in the 5th, and then they pull the starters, then you just have complete anarchy in the final 4 innings. I'm going to go with the over. I can see Arizona scoring 7 or 8, but I think the bullpens are going to be terrible. So I'll go with the over.
Love a bit of anarchy. 9:40 Eastern first pitch is the penultimate game on the show, which is the Toronto Blue Jays at the Oakland Athletics. Chris Bassett for Toronto. Oakland were officially TBD. I'm now seeing Ken Waldichuk, left-handed pitcher, who we handicapped last night. So obviously was pushed back. Who started for Oakland tonight then? Didn't see that.
It was
anyway.
Medina started.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he must be off the IL, I think, and he'd been gone for a little while. Minus 198 are the Blue Jays. The A's are plus 164. The total is at 8.5. Scott.
It seems obvious that Bassett's the choice, but do I want to lay 198 with Toronto?
It's this live game that's completely getting in your head, because it's doing the same to me.
Yes,
You're
me too.
Staring at that screen, and it says 3-3 in the top of the 8th, and that is completely undermining everything that we've handicapped.
It's also the dumb type of
3-0.
3-3 where Toronto blew a lead earlier, and I know that this is the type of game Toronto would lose. So Waldichuk, I don't think is any good. Like, that's the problem I run into here. You know what? I'll take a stand here. Give me Oakland team total over. Let's have some fun with this. Bassett's been okay, but I do think, once again, Oakland's offense has woken up to some degree recently. It's a bit of a hot take, but looking at Bassett's numbers, he has been good lately at home, but on the road, he has been, a bit vulnerable at times. I think when you're looking at the home road splits here, 2.8 ERA at home, 5.02 ERA on the road. I'll fade Bassett's bad road numbers with a pretty low team total. Give me the A's team total over.
Okay, I like that. Different angle in Scott, Lonte.
Yeah, I like that too. And Bassett's given up a home run in 6 of his last 7 starts. So that's you're on pace right there. I'm going to go with what we know best, Mal. Oakland first 5. That's it. That's all I got. Yep. Oakland first 5. But I do like that play by Scott, though. I didn't think about that, but I do like that.
I made it up on the fly. I'm just happy Bassett's road numbers, worked in my favor.
Well, I'm about to call an audible as well, because I handicapped Waldichuk last night, and I don't mind him, He had that bad start at White Sox on the 24th of August, but he's been really good around that in short starts.
I was going to say he doesn't go any length. That's the problem.
Yeah, starts between, but he's reached the 6th inning a couple of times. But it's towards the 4th more often than not. Oakland have won his last 2 games. I'm not going to do. I had Bassett. I had Blue Jays on the run line, but I'm looking at this box right in front of me, and it's putting me right off. I'm going to go the first 5 under. Bassett will be fine. And Waldichuk will also be fine. You can't trust the Blue Jays. Give me your first 5 under. Horwitz, is his name Spencer Horwitz? It's hit a couple of bombers for Toronto. Might be worth following down the stretch. We've reached the final game, which is a 9:40 Eastern first pitch between the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres. We have Michael Lorenzen for Philadelphia and Pedro Avila for San Diego. Close on the books, minus 110. The Phillies plus 108. San Diego, and the total is at 8.5 for Lonte.
Yeah, as crazy as it's going to sound, San Diego's only 5.5 back, man. They're only 5.5 back. They picked up some steam. They've won 3 or 4 against San Francisco, which is a team that's in front of them. All 4 of the teams in front of them, they've had issues, and they're facing tougher schedules than what San Diego is. Now, can they capitalize? I don't know. I mean, Miami has a series with the Dodgers that are probably going to lose. San Francisco is playing the Cubs in Wrigley, and they dropped 2, if I'm not mistaken, already.
After the Cubs series, though, the schedule does lighten up a little bit for the Giants immediately. Their last 11 games are so brutal for the Giants. I think they have a 4-game set against the Dodgers, a 3-game set against the Padres, and then another 3-game set against the Dodgers to end the year. So the Giants' schedule is atrocious. It's just difficult. It's so hard. So
anyway. Cincinnati has Seattle. So I mean, they're in the tight one. Well, they're up 3 runs. I think Seattle's threatening right now, but still a tough series. Now, I don't know. It's not going to be easy, but I think they can get it done right here at home. 38-34 at home. Small sample size, but Pedro, he's been okay in his last few appearances. Only allowed over 1 run once in August. That was a 7-game sample size. Lorenzen has struggled a bit since that no-hitter, 13 runs in his last 3 starts combined, allowing a lot of contact, 8 hits in each of those 3 games. So I'm going to go with San Diego here. Would I be surprised if they get blasted? No. but I'm going with San Diego.
Scott?
So the fact that they're 5.5 back, despite being 8 under, doesn't tell me anything about the Padres. It just tells me we have too many wildcard teams. That's all that means to me. We have too many playoff teams. Like they belong nowhere near the playoffs, and arguably the third wildcard spot. The Giants don't belong there either. So
Put everybody in. Do it College World Series style.
That's a little bit too much for me because then you got the round robin, and that's a little bit much. Double elimination. But I'm gonna go with Philly here. I just think that once again, even if Avila pitches decently, he's one of those pitchers who has been a bullpen guy who kind of got converted into being a starter. So his overall numbers are fine, but he goes no length, so his numbers are misleading. And San Diego's bullpen, I've roasted the entire year. If he's going to give you 3 or 4 innings, then I'll take my chances in the final 5 against the Padres bullpen. I like Lorenzen a lot more. I know he hasn't been great lately, but San Diego, once again, 5.5 back means nothing to me because that tells me how bad the bottom of the NL wildcard race is. I'm going to go ahead and take the Phillies here. It's a very cheap price for the much better starting pitcher and the much better team. So I'll take Philly.
Yeah, that's my pick as well, Scott, for the same reasons. This is Lorenzen's 4th start after the no-hitter, which is the one where he will emerge from the woods into the daylight. We've been counting. And Avila's just a little bit meh, really. The Padres, that's their first 3-game win streak since June the 28th. And Juan Soto has a 3-game homer streak, but apart from that, I'm still not into them. Are they a better team, better pitcher? We like that system. Seems pretty straightforward. Philadelphia -110, and we did it, boys. We dipped our toe and accelerated to the end of the show. Good effort. Lock and dog. Scott, lead us off.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember any of the games. So starting off with the lock for the show, I know what my dog's going to be. My dog's going to be Baltimore, minus the 1.5. I just think, once again, getting plus money there is too good of a deal to pass up on, especially against a team that literally got swept by Oakland over the weekend. But I think for this one, for my lock, I'm tempted by the Cubs with Hendricks at a cheap price.
Yeah.
I think I am going to go with the first 5 under with the Twins and the Guardians. I just think that Gray and Bitey match would be pretty ugly, and I think you're going to see a lower scoring game early on. Minnesota's really bad on the road offensively, and Cleveland can't hit in general. So they should give Cleveland metal bats and see what happens. But I'll go with the first 5 under. I just think you're going to see a pretty low scoring game, 2-1 after 5. I'll take the first 5 under in that game as my lock, and the Orioles run line at like plus 124 as my dog.
Yeah, that Orioles run line looks like finding money in the street to me. Lonte?
Yeah, make it simple. Atlanta's getting disrespected at home. Minus 155 for the lock. The dog, I'm going with Washington. Plus 126 to get it done. Let's go, Patrick Corbin.
I've got a plus 134 here if you want it.
Even better.
Lonte.
Even better.
Still up. I've got a double lock here. Is that allowed? Well...
I mean, you can give out as many locks as you want, but you need a dog at the end of it.
I've got a dog. Don't worry about that. I've got a 1A and a 1B. So the 1A is the White Sox and the Royals over 9. Just millions of runs whenever these two start. Like minimum double figures all the way up. So you can take it all run line. We'll get to 14 runs here. If someone wins this 9-6. That's 15. I love maths. The 1B is the Cubs. I love the Cubs. You mentioned them, Scott. Minus 118. I just trust Hendricks and the Cubs way more than I trust Giants in another one of these cobbled together bullpen days. Watch the Cubs tonight, and they look like they were locked in at home. They're enjoying this homestand. And for my dog, Detroit, please, plus 200. Let's get the Yankees' feet. It was an illusion. It's a mirage in the desert. The baby bombers have fooled everyone for a couple of days. This time last week, you wouldn't want to be taking the Yankees at any price. So I don't know what difference 6 days would make. With a load of kids in the team.
5 players that actually don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they weren't ready. They called them up just for the panic. It's the lower diminishing returns, Scott. It happens all the time. We'll see. Detroit at plus 200 for me. And that was lots of fun, everybody. Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you, Lonte. Thanks, everyone, for taking some time out from your Labour Day festivities. I'm going to go and watch some baseball now. We've got a tied game and 2 one-run games. So I can go and flick around those 3 games. What are you, Lonte, what are you doing for the rest of your birthdays? Is your partner taking you somewhere fancy?
We're probably gonna do something this weekend. Right now I'm probably going to go take my dog for a walk and get back to sharpening up some college football numbers. Had a good college had a good college football Saturday, so just gonna try to build on that.
The college or NFL? I thought you said earlier on the NBA show you wanted to go through some NFL stuff.
Yeah, I did it already. Right after we got done with the show, man. Got it already lined up. Yep. So moved on to college. You know, we got no life for what, like 8 months, the next 8 months. So
this is my hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
Mini machine. The Astros have just scored loads of runs. They're now 11-5 up in the blink of an eye. Scott, Labor Day, what goes on?
Nothing much. I'll have a tennis podcast later, but mostly just chilling. Besides that, yeah, I said it before. I'll say it again. Big reason why I leaned against the Rangers in the game preview. Their bullpen sucks and they can't hold the lead. So enjoy once again falling apart down the stretch.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, all the DJs in the chat. We appreciate it. Some form of the team will be back tomorrow night. I've got no idea if it's me or not. But good luck with your bets. Enjoy the rest of Labor Day, whatever you're doing. And we'll see you down the road. Cheers.